It's everything I could want and more, and less at the same time. A round of applause for Roland Emmerich doing what he does best. A brand new sci-fi disaster movie directed by Roland Emmerich and written by Roland Emmerich, Harald Kloser, and Spenser Cohen with a budget of at least $138 million. Moonfall came out in theaters in February and bombed hard, but the response was what I expected. Positive response from people who thought it was dumb fun, and an even bigger negative response for those who hate it for being so moronic it feels like the movie equivalent of a person who drops out of high school yet still has a stable living for years to come. A round of applause. Just from the trailer, you had to know what you were going to get into, and for me, I didn't really feel like spending my money to go see this in theaters at the time. Either that, or I was just too busy at the time. But either way, I decided to wait for this to come to digital to watch at home, so that's when I decided to watch it, which is why the review is coming out now and not when that came out in theaters. So, now that I'm reviewing it at this time, months later, do I add anything new to say? Probably not. The movie is about a group of different people during what seems to be the world's end times, when it looks like the moon is on a collision course with Earth. Which, obviously, that's not possible in real life, but the reason why was not at all what I thought from the trailer, at least I remember. If you don't know, I won't spoil it, since it was pretty bizarre and slightly intriguing at first, which I honestly willing to leave my cynical mind at the door going into this when I found out, but it only gets the movie so far for it to work, since it's just the movie relying on being dumb fun for it to work, but so many other things. The movie has its cast of characters, the main three being astronaut Brian Harper, played by Patrick Wilson, who 10 years prior to this event lost a fellow astronaut in space and was the only witness to an unbelievable explanation. He became disgraced, got divorced, and all he is now is a screw-up, but now he has a chance to regain his former glory, saving Earth thanks to Casey, played by John Bradley, who is an intelligent conspiracy theorist that might just know how to save Earth from the moon. As they team up with brand new NASA director Hal Berry, I would be lying if I just didn't see her play herself in this, who discovers the government knew something like this kind of was going to happen. I think more on that later, but Berry and Wilson need to get over the past since she didn't defend him when they were in space together, since the three are Earth's only chance to still exist tomorrow. But I'm not sure what they do really matters. I'll also go into this later. But I will say my favorite part of the movie is the three leads, being Berry, Wilson, and Bradley, who all do a fantastic job playing their characters for what they are without, winking to the camera or feeling like they know they are part of the movie that clearly doesn't deserve actual good acting. I really like Bradley's performance, where he feels both smart enough to be this intelligent, in the movie at least, but balancing the awkward loser as well, being the movie's comic relief. So when a character makes a joke, it feels like an actual thing that character will say, so it doesn't feel, forced. The three have great chemistry. I believe Brian and Casey's instant friendship, and I did care for what happened to them. Too bad the movie thinks I actually give a crap about anything else. Any scene not involving the main three is not only bad, but drags the movie down alongside it. I don't expect perfection with this movie. I mean, you heard what I said the movie was about. But it follows the usual problems I thought would also be in a movie like this, which makes me so split on if I even like this movie or not. There are subplots involving side characters who, to somewhat of a certain degree, should be in the story, but once they serve their part where how they impact the main characters, we still follow them in the end times on Earth, which isn't intolerable, but I never once cared or thought they would make it out of it in time. Like, if one character out of the group of the movie's B story would get hurt or die, I know exactly which one it'd be, but the movie's A story is the opposite problem. Third time saying this, more on that later. They aren't performed awful, it's just badly written. Sure, it's cool to see the disasters the moon being close to Earth follows. I mean, that's why many people just watch these kinds of movies, to see explosions or whatnot. And I will say, while the effects aren't as good as I hope they'd be, they're imaginative, and I wouldn't care too much that, cutting to them while our main three go to space to stop the moon. If the movie was only like 90 to 100 minutes long, the movie just goes on for way too long, when I think the movie could have been written to be short and be way more straightforward with the reason they explain why the moon is falling to Earth, left for intrigue. They then find out, though, everything they can know about the moon because Patrick Wilson is given knowledge of the moon's history or something. I don't know. But if they could have stopped the moon first chance they get, the movie would be over without feeling padded. And sure, it's kind of interesting at first to learn the moon's history, I guess, but it's like rushed and told in a minute or two with one of these backstories that make a more interesting story than the one I'm watching. Also, I just wanted to ask how they got NASA's involvement with the movie. Since this movie is so moronic, I don't know nor really care how they thought this would be good, since the movie portrays NASA pretty negatively. Like, their leads are incompetent, so literally Halle Berry becomes the director when all looks lost as she discovers NASA's covered major conspiracies that I feel like NASA wouldn't be able to cover despite legal or believable reasons. Like, if they knew this was going to happen, kind of, they should have actually prepared for it, or the reason on how Harbor becomes disgraced also being a cover-up. How I knew exactly he'd be proven right was how the movie shows the proof of the moon conspiracy crap happening. My head hurts explaining this without spoilers. This movie is so moronic, and honestly, for the good scenes this movie provides, I was willing to give it a pass, but then the movie ends with a cliffhanger for a possible sequel that will probably not happen. Also, by the way, I just realized I forgot to write this down in the review for one of the things I said more on this later. By the way, it looks like most of the Earth's population died, so, and is there anyone left to save in the sequel? Anyways, where was I? When I said the movie's A story has the opposite problem, at first I thought one of the main three characters was going to do the sacrifice cliche to save them all, but then another character does it to my surprise, but his/her reason for doing so makes sense that it actually made me feel bad when he/she was going to die, but the movie makes up such a dumb excuse for this character to somehow still be alive. I knew that if I ever wanted to watch this movie again, I'd just skip any scene I hate. And I'm kind of glad I didn't see this in theaters, which, sure, the scale or weight might feel different on the big screen. The story is way too moronic. Not tolerable enough. I could just sift through this again in one sitting. This honestly is the kind of movie I put on the background when I'm doing work or wasting my time, and that's it. So, did I like the movie? I mean, I was entertained for the most part, despite so many of the movie's problems. But it's kind of the movie that is just mediocre enough to almost work, that I do recommend, but I can't say this is good. And hope movies that are actually well written, well acted, gorgeous to look at, and actually interesting could follow. So probably not another Roland Emmerich movie. Watch if you're interested, like it for what it is. You're a typical over-budget B-movie disaster film, but objectively, yeah, this is bad. I give Moonfall a 5.5 out of 10.